Oh, hey, what's up, guys? Captain Zach here. Well, it is just a bright, sunny, late April morning. So Mary and I are out here, and we're looking to just put together a nice combo day. So, in fact, I just dropped Mary off on her kayak. She's going to go do some kayaking while I check the crab pots. So I'm going to start just seeing if we can find a few dungees. I have some crab pots soaking with some good bait. So I'm going to see if we can start the day off with some crabs and then shift gears a bit and head over to the halibut ground. So we're going to start at anchor. You know, a couple 100 feet deep, probably just a pretty good spot where in the past we've caught halibut and rockfish and even some cod early season. So we're going to give that a go from anchor. And then if we don't do any good there, I do have the electric reel on board. So that's going to open up just a whole range of different deep drop spots. So if we can't get them up shallow, I'll definitely move out deeper and see if we can find a halibut. But usually this early in the season, any fish is a good fish. And again, when you give yourself a chance to catch some dungees or halibut or cod or rockfish, it creates those nice combo opportunities. So we're looking forward to it. We're gonna get after it. Oh, well, the low tide turned just a couple hours ago. It was actually a big tide. So we've got about a negative 2.5, which means it's a really low, and that's gonna push up to a really high. So we've got an incoming tide for most of the session. So we'll fish that incoming, and we'll fish it all the way to the top, right to the top of that flood. And then as that turns, usually kind of right before and right after, that ought to be a magical time. Hopefully we'll be able to find a bite. Okay, this first pot's down in about 40 feet of water. Oh, looks like we got some tanners. Okay, well, that's not the target species. Well, that's not the target species, but still pretty cool. Always neat to see what comes up in the crab pots. I think I'm gonna release these tanners today. And there's a little baby tanner. Okay, this is coming up out of 35 feet. Of course, that's at this low tide as well. Okay, well, there's a few dungees in there. A little of everything, some dungees and some tanners. Okay, first we'll take care of those tanners. We'll send these two back. Now for the fun part. These look like decent sized dungees, so hopefully there's a few keepers in here. Oh, heck yeah, great way to start the day. Nice keeper. And if that one's a keeper, that bodes really well for some of these other crabs. That's a male. Oh, keeper by a mile. Also a male. This one's gonna be close. Oh, heck yeah, just a keeper. Check it out. You put the one end of the gauge right on the tip there. And you can see it does not clear. That means it's a keeper. If it cleared that point, then that would have to go back. But that is just 6.5, so it's coming home with us. Also a male, this one's gonna be close. Oh, now this one's just a hair shy. So check this out now. You get the one end of the gauge right on the tip there, push it down, and you see how that clears? Since the metal clears, that means it's not quite 6.5. It's just a hair short. I'm talking a millimeter short, but that's okay. He's heading back. He can grow up a little bit. We'll get him next time. This pot's a little deeper, coming out at 60 feet. Well, nothing doing in that one. Okay, nothing else in those other pots, but 3 keeper dungees is a great way to start the day. Oh, well, we're all set up. So we anchored up and it's just perfect. So we're a couple hours before that high and it's really calm out here. So just a really awesome day. That bright sun just feels great, even though it's still a little chilly, but the sun makes it all worthwhile. I've got the 16 ouncer, the halibut pounder all loaded up. I got a big grub on there. We got some current going on. So that grub's gonna be dancing in the current. And then a little bit of herring, squid, little bit of everything. That ought to get them. I'm gonna load this up with some halibut scent as well. So I've got some butt juice here by ProCure, and I'll just give that a nice douse all over the all over the rubber grub and a little bit on the bait as well. Those tentacles hold the scent really well. And the grub has some grooves, so if you get the scent down in those grooves, it'll kind of stick to it. Sometimes even after a cast or two, you pull it back up and you still see some of the oil slick from that scent. Oh my gosh. That's like, it has to be a snag. I was gonna say, if that's a fish, that's like a immediate barn door. But snag. Okay, it popped out. That's probably for the better. That's for the better. I don't think we need a 300 pounder today. I'll gladly take a 20 pounder. Okay, a little slow so far, no bites. So of course you got to break out the secret weapon, the halibut salad sandwich. That is going to turn the tide. So this is some fresh halibut from last weekend. I think that should hopefully trigger a bite. Oh, and for those of you who aren't aware, the halibut salad, that's sort of the marquee fish that comes out of that halibut magic seasoning that I sell. So the halibut magic is an amazing seasoning, has all kinds of good uses, but one really great use is for this halibut salad. It's just world-class taste. Nothing doing with that halibut pounder, so I'm gonna break out the chicken slayer for the first time in the season. So I've got 8-ounce egg weight that's sliding right up and down the line to a swivel, and then a length of 50-pound mono to the 1-ounce Fire Eye Glow jig. That's the chicken slayer, all loaded up with a couple of little pieces of herring and some little strips of squid that'll just dangle off the back and catch anything on the floor that bites. The ocean floor. Okay, chicken slayer's on the bottom. Mary just had a little nibble, so maybe some of that high tide action starting to pick up here. Okay, nothing doing on the chicken slayer. This spot is just super sleepy today. So the tide is just turning. So we're just a little after the tide turn now. I'm getting my electric reel all geared up. So I'm gonna hit a few deeper drops right after this. So I've got the 24-ounce Fire Eye Glow jig, the big guy, all loaded up with some herring and a bunch of squid on there. I'm gonna send it down. Okay, fish on. Finally, broke the ice. Ooh, some pretty decent thumps there. I backed the drag off a bit. No sense in horsing this up. Yeah, I felt a couple of nibbles there and then finally just laid the hammer down. I was down in about 500 feet. You know, initially there were some pretty good pulls. I actually backed that drag off a bit and it was stripping. A couple of good head thumps. There we go. Still a few thumps here. Hoping for a little hally. Sometimes it's hard to tell when they're that deep. Okay, under 300 feet. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was a little disappointing to fish that high tide right before, a couple hours before the high tide and then through the turn and not a single fish. That's pretty rare. So good to be finally feeling that rod bending. Got the gaff just in case. There's 170 feet, so it's coming up slow and steady. Yeah, that was the 24-ounce Fire Eye Glow jig. So I had that all loaded up, herring and squid, and just sent it all the way down. My guess is this is either a small halibut, or a big rockfish, or a nice sized Pacific cod. Almost certainly one of those three. Okay, 30 feet, here we go. And it's a monster Pacific cod. Wow, check that out. What a beast of a cod. Oh my gosh. Okay, we broke the ice with that big cod. I've got it all loaded up. We're gonna send it back down. This time I've got herring, squid, and I added a rockfish rib cage. So I was cleaning a rockfish the other day. Got a nice chunk of rib cage, so some meat and some skin there. Hopefully that'll pull in the halibut.
You can see how you did.
Okay. All you have to do is start eating a snack. Fish on. It's coming up pretty steady. Just a couple of thumps. My money is on a Pacific cod. I would love to be proven wrong and have this be a 20-pound halibut, but I think if it was a halibut, I'd be getting really ferocious head thumps. That was down about 470 feet. Okay, there's a sign of life. Maybe I'll back off it just a little bit. No need to rush them. Okay, there's 180 feet. Coming up pretty steady. You know, now I say that, there's more thumps. About every 20 feet, I'm getting a decent thump. Could it be a little chicken halibut? There's less than 100 feet, up through 80 feet. I was just telling Mary, we caught a 60-pound halibut here last year. So I was hoping to recreate some of that magic. Okay, 20 feet. Well, I don't know what that was. I know there was a fish on there within 100 feet. Oh, it's a rockfish right there. Hold on. Okay. Well, there we go. Looks like an awesome rockfish. Let's see, it's either a silver gray or a big dusky. That was a total mystery. I had a blank jig. I'm like, what the heck's going on? And it must have just popped off right at the surface, and obviously a rockfish from that deep, the swim bladder is gonna make it float. So I was able to just scoop it up. Oh, well, there you go. Just an awesome silver gray rockfish. What a great fish. You can see it's a silver gray because of the big lower lip. So it's almost a lip like a largemouth bass. They look real similar to duskies, but duskies will have a smaller mouth. So nice silver gray there. Not quite as big as those absolute monsters we caught a couple weeks ago, but that's gonna make some really delicious rockfish tacos. I just rebaited and sent that jig back down. But that was the strangest thing. So that fish was coming up. It was actually giving me some good thumps every now and then. I was absolutely certain that was a fish, and got it right up to the top. And when it got within 5 feet, I looked down to find the color. Usually you see the color deep, and then you eventually pull the fish up. It was just my jig. It was a bare jig. And so I'm like, what the heck? Like I've done this once or twice. I mean, I've been fooled before, but that would have been really strange if there was no fish. But I actually just was able to look down and find that rockfish. So that rockfish must have just popped off right as I looked down, because it just popped right up and it was right next to the boat. I was able to grab the auxiliary net, scoop it up, and put a rockfish in the fish box.
Having, you know, at least 50 hours.
Just some kind of something. It's not a fish. Okay, well, I'm not sure what this is. It's probably not a fish. Just a bunch of heavy weight, maybe a piece of coral or a king crab or something. Down in about 500 feet. And that stinks. I was on a good line too. I was drifting right where I wanted to in terms of getting some good coverage. And I hooked a boot. Okay, 20 feet. Let's see what this sea monster is.
gosh, it's a king crab.
Oh, it is a king crab.
Wait, I got this. Oh my gosh.
Oh, this is really cool. Oh, well, check it out. It's a king crab. What a cool creature. Obviously, we're going to send him back, but still a really interesting encounter. How cool. Okay, we'll send this big guy back to the deep. Okay, I sent it back down for the final deep drop of the day. So I'm calling my shot here. I'm saying it's the last cast. Hopefully that'll attract maybe one more bite today. Yeah, for anyone wondering why we didn't keep that king crab, well, first and foremost, it's not king crab season, and a rod and reel is not a legal means of taking a king crab. So right away, that means that king crab goes back. But once it is the season for some of the fish on. Oh, it might have popped off. Oh, I think it popped off. I'm gonna pull it up just in case. Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted, not king crab season, and a rod and reel is not a legal means of taking a king crab. So those are immediately the reasons that goes back. When it is king crab season, if you have illegal means like a crab pot, then they have to be male and they have to be a certain size as well to keep. And then you're only allowed to keep a certain number of them within a specific area. So it's a very heavily regulated fishery. So real easy decision to throw that one back today. Yeah, I'm not sure if this fish popped off or not. I felt some definite weight there right off the bat. Sometimes if it's a rockfish, like its swim bladder will blow up and it'll just come up pretty effortlessly. So it might be a smaller rockfish. This was down in 560 feet. Oh, check that out. As if we needed to add one more species to the board. There's a little baby arrow-toothed flounder. No wonder I had a hard time feeling him from 560 feet down. Nope, he was ready to go back. Well, I said that was going to be my last cast, and I guess I should honor that. We should probably be heading back to the dock at this point. But what a cool day. You know, I started the day saying it was going to be probably a mixed bag, just trying to find a little bit of variety in the take today, and that's certainly what we found. So you got those three keeper dungeys right off the bat. There were also some tanners in there, so that was a cool take, good way to get the day started. Then we anchored up and fished to that tide, which was actually kind of slow. That high tide, I'm surprised we didn't get any action whatsoever. So a couple hours of just complete, sleep fest in terms of that spot. But then started to hit some of the deeper drops with the electric reel, that 24 ouncer down deep, and that's what kind of woke the day back up. So got that really nice cod, really nice rockfish, that amazing king crab. So it's always cool to get a king crab encounter. Those are just such magical creatures. I definitely didn't have a king crab on my bingo card today, and then just finished it out there with that little flounder. So a little bit of a variety today, which was really cool. Didn't find the halibut, but that's totally okay. In April, it's hard to. Halibut are really hard to come by. So I think today was still a really awesome day, successful harvest, and just perfect weather. So really good stuff. Doing some early season fishing here near Juneau, Alaska.